Good evening, Mission Control. TheRealMartian here. Well, tonight we'll go ahead and continue our flashback series, and we're going to talk about the delivery of the fish. We'll go through the delivery process, got some good pictures there, like we've been doing in the flashback series, talk about each one of them, and then we'll go over why we chose a particular breed of fish that we did. So let's go ahead and jump in. Here we go. So this is actually a really big day for us. You know, lots of work went into this event, and here we are. We actually have fish delivery. Now, before you get fish delivered, you actually do need a license through the state, at least here in Washington State. And we were able to get that all put together and ordered everything from the Nisqually Trout Farm and had them deliver it. We had 2 to 3 inch fish, which you're looking at here. We also had 12-inch fish and some brood stock. And it was really quite slick and very affordable, actually, relatively speaking, of course, to have it delivered. And he just shows up, everything's in the truck, and then he just moves it over real quickly into the lanes, and the fish really took to the water quite well. And one of the problems that we had is we actually tried to jumpstart this aquaponic system. You can actually dump some ammonia into the water and get the nitrates and nitrites kind of jump-started that way. And because we're in a rush, we're actually chasing winter. We're trying to get everything done before the snow came, and then we couldn't have anything delivered. It would have been a complete fail if we would have missed this particular window. And it worked. It ended up working. We lost some fish due to loss, ammonia and the water not being right. But in hindsight, if you are just getting into aquaponics, don't do the ammonia jumpstart thing. Just plan better than what we did and get all your work done and get that pond going and let it cycle on its own. Here are the brood stock. We do intend to actually breed out the rainbows. These are all rainbow trout, by the way. And this year is kind of a loss. The winter really threw us for a loop. We weren't able to get everything done in time. But we do intend to be breeding them out. And we have set up brood tanks for them so that we can actually harvest the eggs from them, harvest the sperm from the males. So I didn't know this, but female rainbows are called hens, and the male rainbows are called bucks. So lots to learn there. We went up to our local fish hatchery and talked to them about breeding. They are very, very nice. This is our breeding tank setup. We have fresh water coming in and the bad water coming out of these IBC toads. There's 2 of them, just so we can have 2 rearing ponds. And then the top of the IBC toad is flipped over, so we can actually harvest the eggs, put them in there, and let the fresh water run over those. We had the fish in here to start with because we thought we were going to get right into the breeding cycle, but with everything that went wrong as far as winter, getting here really quickly and being a very tough winter, what we decided to do is to actually just put the brood stock into the lanes themselves. So we're very happy with that move, and this setup really isn't that bad. I really like how it's supposed to work, and I think once we do get to the point where we actually have time, sit down and get on the right schedule with the trout, basically we need to do what I'm going to call a trout roundup, where we let the bucks and hens, a broodstock size, in with the regular fish, but then every year we're going to have to go round them up, trap them, and then move them up to the breeding tanks, get them to spawn, get the eggs out of them, get the sperm, mix it all, harvest the eggs, and then put everything back, put them back into the main tanks. So it would be very much like cattle. You let them out for the year onto the graze land, and then you bring them all together and you cycle out the ones you're going to keep and which ones you're going to put back out onto the graze or bring back to your particular paddock. So these broodstock are really, really nice. This is a screen. We wanted to try to separate out the different size fish, and hindsight being 2020, I think this is a waste of time. Rainbow trout are carnivorous. They can eat smaller versions of rainbow trout. We really haven't had a problem with that because we feed them well, but we did have a problem with the pump and these particular screens. I put one of these screens in front of the pump inlet, and the fish still found their way around it. obviously there's holes in the ones I'm showing, but the one in front of the pump didn't have holes in it. So what we ended up doing is actually getting a 2-inch pool filter, inlet filter, which you're looking at here, and we lost about 52-inch fish death by pump, and that wasn't a good. That was not good. But once we got the new filter put in, everything, it was all good. It's not getting plugged or anything. Fish are all doing fine. And this is a well duh kind of moment. You know, there's so much stuff to think about in this project. I'm way too hard on myself. At times I really much feel like a failure. But if you look at everything we've done here and the fact that it's pretty much just me putting it together, I'd say that's not bad. So water test kit. This is the one that we started with, and we're going to be replacing most of this with automation with electronic probes. So let's go ahead and take some time and talk about the fact that testing your water is a pretty important thing. We tried to jumpstart the process, which is a known aquaponic thing where you actually take some ammonia and you dump it into your ponds where your fish would normally be at, and it actually, the ammonia is what attracts the bacteria that are normally occurring in the air. Woo, bacteria everywhere. And those bacteria smell that ammonia, and they come and they land in the water on the area around it. And they're good bacteria. These aren't the type of bacteria you want to kill. And so we dumped some bacteria in, or some ammonia into the water. We also got some bacteria Jumpstart kits that you can buy on Amazon, and then you just squirt all that in there, and you got bacteria and ammonia and all that. We thought we were going to be all right and things were going to go well. But theory is one thing and practice is another. What had ended up happening is as soon as we got to this point, the weather started turning cold. So we moved out of summer into fall and right into winter really quickly. And these bacteria that we need, they really like it a little bit warmer than what we had going on. So they were growing. We could test them using the water test kit I showed you. But they were growing very, very slowly. And that meant that the ammonia level in the water was not decreasing as quickly as what we needed it to. And because we already had fish there and we had ammonia in the water, we basically spent about 3 weeks being really stressed out because of that. So if you're brand new to aquaponics like what we were, take our lessons, listen to this. I get to look like an idiot so that you don't have to. The realities of the situation that we were in is that we were up against a weather deadline, and there's nothing we could have done about it. We started working as soon as the weather opened for us, and we worked all the way up till where the weather was against us. And sadly, we just weren't able to get everything done in time. So we had to find ways to get things going so we could meet our goals for the year. And I would say in hindsight, it worked. It wasn't optimum. It wasn't the best solution, but it met the good enough criteria. We were successful. We lost some fish, but not all of them. And the fish now are doing fairly well. We've had some fish die off. We don't really know why, but our guess is there's not enough oxygen in the water, so we are getting our oxygen probes set up to deploy so that we can actually test the oxygen, and you're going to see some videos coming up on that. For all you Arduino lovers, we got some more of that coming. For all you Arduino people who don't really like it, I'm going to try to make it a little bit more fun, but you'll see why they're important that we put these sensors in. So we're going to be checking that oxygen out. We're also going to be doing some basic water tests, like if you were to buy a new home, we're going to take some of our water and send it into a lab and make sure that they check it, see if there's anything maybe we missed. We think our water's a little bit hard, but not too much where the fish would be harmed by it, but we're going to do a double check just to make sure. So yeah, the fish, we chose rainbow trout. Some people have asked us why we chose rainbow trout. And in my previous video, I did a question and answer on it, but the short version is they taste really good, and I like to have them over other fish. Also, cold water They're really good with cold water. Actually, this cold weather that we've had, if you watch any of our videos, you know that we've had a lot of cold weather. The trout are doing fine. You know, they're thriving. They move around, they jump. You throw food in, they're doing really good. I do have the fish cam on the way, so I will be getting some fish cam shots coming up for all those of you that have requested them, so you will be able to see them. But yeah, rainbow trout, really excited about having them going. And in my previous video on the questions and answer, I also talked about when we do HAB 2, it is our goal, our desire, that be a warmer building, a hot building as we call it, which won't be really hot. It'll just be warmer than what this one is. And we'd like to have giant freshwater prawns. That would be totally awesome. They can handle 70-degree temperature water, which means we could be growing tomatoes and grapefruits and citrus fruit in the middle of winter. And that would be awesome, but we got to deal with insulation and heating first. So lots of things that we've learned from this. Yeah, I kind of alluded to it. I get down on myself a lot, and as an engineer, when you're designing something, you own it. Everything that goes wrong is my fault. And at times, that's a lot of burden. Your shoulders just get weighed down. But at the same time, I have to remind myself and constantly remind myself and pray and ask God to help me remind myself, thank you, Jesus, this is a prototype. And we studied a lot. We had the book knowledge. We read a lot. We did all the research, put everything together. But in the end, there's just no substitute for actual experience. And this was purposefully a prototype. So the failures that we have are actually successes because it's a prototype, and that's what a prototype is for, is to figure out what is wrong so that you can fix it for the real version. So HAB 1 is our first prototype, and our second prototype will be HAB 2, which hopefully we can get to within a year and actually start building it. We just got to find some funding. So on that note, I think I'm going to end with a request, is that Mrs. Martian and I, we're pretty much tapped out as far as our ability to get even more work done. We're doing the best we can, but we need some help. We actually need, we realized the other day that there's only 2 months left in Phase 2. The end of April is when Phase 2 ends, and the beginning of May is when Phase 3 begins. And we think we scrounged up enough funding to get most of Phase 3 put together. But I'd like to ask for your guys' help, and if you can help us find grants and send us the links and maybe even help us write some proposals, that would be useful, because right now I'm doing everything I can to get the system going, and I've got a lot of design work to do for the new shells, for the microgreens, for Lane 1, Lane 4, getting the footings for the new beds put in, and designing better solutions there, designing a better solution for the digester. So if any of you really truly want to help us out, the thing that we can use help with is writing proposals for grants and searching for the grants. So if you're interested in or want to help and just want to jump right in, please start communicating with me via email at trm@TheRealMartian.com. We'd really appreciate the help searching for grants and applying for them. And if you're by chance in the grant making industry, or people who just want to give us money, we do have a Patreon and a GoFundMe account started, and we would definitely love to have an angel come down and help us. So really appreciate everyone following along. I hope you enjoy these videos. I think I'm starting to realize that my purpose in life is to help people see things that they shouldn't do, and I'm excited about getting to when our stuff is fully operational. Oh, on that note, we have sold in this sprint. We were hoping to deliver to our first customer, and we have successfully delivered not once, but actually now 3 times. So the microgreens are doing well. I'll get some shots of that in upcoming videos, and the customers are liking what we have. And we actually think we might be able to get our next, maybe not just 1, but maybe 2 customers within the next few days. So stay tuned. I'll let you know how that turns out, but we're really excited. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give us a thumbs up and subscribe. And if you'd like to get notified, hit that little bell to the left. In the meantime, Everybody have a good evening. This is The Real Martian. Out.